Hello and a very warm welcome to Skillsoft presents ETHRWorld, HRConnect in association with ETHRWorld. I'm your host Himanshi Tiwari. Now, over the last few years, I've had many conversations with HR leaders, with business leaders, and one thing is clear, that the HR function is no longer just about policies and performance reviews. It has now changed perhaps to an engine room for transformation as well, and this is what we're gonna focus on this panel today. But before that, please join me in welcoming Vaishali Pachchhapurkar, India HR Head at Tredence. Vaishali, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Himanshi.
We're also joined in by Susmita Malik, VP HR India at 247.ai, and Akshay Beerala, VP for Strategic Business at Skillsoft India. Akshay, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this panel. And in this panel, I would like to jump straight into the solutions, the strategies, and would avoid, all those conversations that have already been discussed in the previous panels. And with that, I'll come to you. Just start with telling us, see, we are all talking about burnout. We are all talking about productivity, high performance. But as an HR leader, tell us about those unconventional strategies, on how to sort of sustain that high performance, but also not letting your employees, to move towards burnout.
Okay, so thanks, Himanshi, for the question. Very interesting one. And I know there isn't a definite answer for this. Everybody's trying to do something around it. Tredence itself has quadrupled in the last 4 years since 2020. In fact, we've grown and we are even hiring now. At this scale, of course, some of these things are like a tailwind, to understand how the employee is working out, what is happening to the employees. Some of the things that everybody else is also doing, we are also doing in terms of capability building, in terms of career framework, etc. But something more unconventional, I would list out 3 specific areas where we're doing something a little more unconventional. The first one is around, of course, the career framework, and everybody has that career framework in their companies. But we have kind of created like a talent marketplace, an internal talent marketplace. It's no longer about a career path or a journey. It is actually about that lake where anybody can go, and there is enough and more that is out there for you to pick up, train yourself, what to do for a certain role or for a certain skill or for a certain job. Just pick up what you like and what works for you, and move ahead. The second big thing, which actually stems out from some of the things that you're talking about, especially in our kind of world, in services world, is about performance coach, doing difficult conversations. So we are trying to see how we can do this more AI driven. Can we actually have a AI driven bot, who can actually be a performance coach for our employees, for our managers, to be able to do those difficult conversations, because that's something that everybody struggles with. And the third one that we're thinking about is digital twin. So, this industry is growing so fast. Every time there's a problem of somebody leaving and then somebody else who's replacing takes some time, there is good amount of time. Can we really have a twin of my employee who will be there as a buddy, as a transition coach for the new employee? So this is also something that we're trying to see and experiment. Let's see how this goes, but these are things
that's really interesting, especially this digital twin thing. It's really interesting, and would love to see how it folds in the upcoming few years. But moving to you, Susmita, she also spoke about AI, and AI bot. I want to understand from you, how are you making your employees, because see, in this industry, we all are leveraging AI at this point in time, right? So how are you leveraging AI in a way that your employees are both tech savvy and also the entire process is human centered as well? Because we cannot remove the human from HR as well, and also from the employees, right?
No, absolutely, and that is such a pertinent question at this point of time. We all know that AI is changing the complete landscape everywhere. But what we are doing is, first up, in our training processes, we are integrating AI in such a way that our associates, because we are in the ITES industry, we are serving our customers. So we are integrating AI in such a way that we are able to simulate customer conversations. So associates get to use AI as a coach They get to use AI as a co-pilot, which helps them frame the right responses. They get to use AI as an SME, a subject matter expert. So the AI bot helps them summarize crisply the conversation with the customer. And finally, we also use it as an assessor. So assessing the quality of the conversation, compliances to the norms, whether the associate has been able to do the conversation effectively or not. So that's in the training space. Apart from that, in our HR shared services, we are using AI for the first level of interactions and inquiry resolutions from our employees. So what's the leave policy? How do I get to know what my insurance coverage is like, and things like that. And finally, right now, we're just on the journey of integrating AI and having a bot do the first level of assessments in our recruitment process.
Thank you so much for those answers, ladies. And now I would like to move to you, Akshay. See, you've been speaking to a lot of HR leaders in the industry, and so am I, right? And we are actually on the same boat, perhaps, that we've been speaking to a lot of HR leaders. But what approaches you have come across? Like, what approaches are these HR leaders across industries are using from the perspective of workforce agility and also future readiness?
A few things that we've started talking about and hearing from a lot of our prospects, clients are, there are two aspects, right? There's a horizontal development where you're acquiring skills, so it's more skill-based rather than role-based. And another important part is vertical development. So how do you actually get people to start acting differently and thinking differently? So that's where I'd say your softer skills, your agility, your emotional intelligence, all of that's coming through. So that's what we're hearing from a lot of our clients, saying not only are we going to focus more on skill-based, but we're also going to focus on those vertical developments because that is important for all our employees.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, I would like to talk more about from the leadership, learning and culture perspective. And I would like to come to you, Vaishali. Data-driven companies often focus heavily on analytics and outcomes as well. So we talk so much about leveraging AI and sort of introducing a culture of learning and everything. But at the end of it, how do you sort of measure? How do you sort of measure all that you have done? So how do you ensure that your people strategy is both measurable and also human-centered? Because this is the question I posed to her also, and human perhaps is, is the center of our conversation as well, because in HR, when we talk about HR, human is the foundation, right?
Yep, absolutely. So interesting one. Again, there are several metrics that we all measure, which is the matrix. I think the human part comes when it comes to implementation of some of these actions. Like, you'll have so many metrics in the world and in general inside the company, outside the company. At Tredence, we actually look at metrics which are outside the company as well, former employees, media, etc. So a lot of information gets collected and there is a lot of analysis. I think the human part or the human touch comes in the way we are going to implement this. So for example, everybody has implemented return to office, we call it flex here. While return to office is important and we've realized that there is a merit and there are so many data points which talk about that this is important and this really serves the purpose and it's impactful. But for us, what is most important is to make the time in office meaningful. How do we ensure that employee who's coming is not thinking that, oh, I could have done the same thing, from home. Yeah. So how do we ensure that people, that entire cultural integration in the hybrid world is the key part. Or the other part is also about another instance would be flexibility and choices. Post-COVID, everything has changed. It's not about one size fits all. So how do you still give flexibility and choices right from the benefits that you have, right from the kind of work that you have, etc. So a lot of things like this are there in terms of really making it meaningful for the employees and listening to them every time. That is important. That will build transparency and trust with anything that you do.
Yeah. On that note, on building transparency and trust, I would like to move to you, Susmita. See, when you are building this culture in your company, you'll have to perhaps ensure that things are things are not mandated, they are encouraged, right? So how do you sort of create a culture, how do you approach creating a culture of continuous learning now that we need so much of it, right? And continuous learning, upskilling, reskilling, how do you ensure that this culture is encouraged among the employees but not mandated? I mean, what works and what doesn't?
Yeah. So first of all, there has to be a certain mandated path, like Akshay was talking about the vertical and the horizontal movements, right? So of course we have that like every organization, but we also have a wide portfolio of other offerings which every individual, based on their inclination, their passion, as to which direction they want their career to move, they can pick and choose. For example, negotiation skills, for example, relationship building or stakeholder management, or what got you here won't get you there. Yeah. So those kind of things are there for the offering. So I as an individual can pick and choose, and I choose my career path accordingly. So it's customized, it's personalized, and a lot of industry workshops inviting guest speakers, which give them a wide exposure to what's happening out there as well.
All right, and we were also talking about measurability. While you spoke about this, and who better can be than him to talk about measurability. When you're sort of enabling organizations to build learning ecosystems, you have a lot of programs, you've been working with a lot of organizations. So how do you sort of approach it in a way that it gets embedded with the business outcomes as well? Because at the end of the day, we all are walking towards the business outcomes, right?
Yeah, definitely. For us, the biggest thing is that we align learning activities and learning goals to business imperatives.
And not just L&D KPIs.
Yeah, it has to go towards business imperatives, because at the end of the day, whatever Susmita and Vaishali are doing is to make sure that the business is growing. So making sure that whatever we work with and whoever we work with is aligned with that business imperatives. So much so that most people who've heard of Skillsoft over the last 25 years knew of us as that content partner. We're no more that. We're a workforce transformation partner. So we're working with companies to see how we can actually go through their whole workforce from hire to retire. How do we work with them to make sure they're seeing those incremental values across that journey? And that entails a lot of things that they all said. It's obviously making things personalized, making sure using AI effectively to get the right kind of information right in front of the right person. For example, you don't want a senior manager or a leader to get something that's rudimentary. The last thing you want is irrelevant information. So making sure relevant information gets in front of them, and that's when you're going to see that incremental value that they add to the business as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, rightly said. And when we are sort of helping our employees in skilling journeys and their upskilling journeys, even a shift in mindset is also required, right? And on that note, I would like to come to you, Vaishali. How do you train your employees to sort of work alongside AI and sort of embrace that ambiguity that comes with AI?
Okay, I'm glad you're asking me this question. I would just like to start with a small story that one of our business leaders was talking about. There's a well-known agentic AI. And this is true, by the way, this is not made up. This person was asking multiple questions to this AI, and the AI eventually responded saying, this is your job. You're not doing your job well. I'm not going to respond to, ask me something which is worthy of my time. And this is real, right? So essentially what I'm saying is that absolutely, this is critical now in terms of mindset. So we have our 3 pillars of learning, which is skill set, tool set, and mindset. Skill set, tool set, of course, within Tredence, we are training our people from agentic AI perspective. We have about 1,000 people that we want to train on these lines. But the mindset, like you said, is going to be extremely important because it's no longer about managing an AI bot also. It will also be about reimagining collaboration with somebody sitting next to me who may be an agent by itself, right? An AI agent. It's no longer about I am doing something and this agent is going to work for me. So yes, curiosity, empathy, critical thinking. All of this is something that we encourage our employees. Our ACE framework works best, in this scenario. This is where our culture is built. It is about being an advisor, to our client. It is about being a coach and a captain, which is like, reimagining the collaboration to other employees and eventually to the agents. And then the third part of it is, the entrepreneurship. Yeah. So all of this together, is what we are trying to do in terms of really encouraging our employees to shift that mindset. You're no longer in the loop. You're no longer around the loop. You will be in the loop now. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, very beautifully put. And I would like to, for the same question, I would like to move to you, Susmita, as well. When we talk about moving with AI, right, embracing AI, a lot of mid-level managers, a lot of mid-level employees do face a fear of becoming obsolete because of AI, right? There are multiple reports that say, that people might lose their jobs with the advent of AI. And a lot of reports often also say that you won't lose your job if you walk, hand in hand with AI. What's your take on that, and how do you sort of remove this fear of obsolescence from your mid-level, employees?
Yeah, I think this is one of the most frequently asked questions in the context of AI today. Yeah. And it reminds me of an example that somebody shared, which has not gone away, which is that when washing machines first came in, right, a lot of our domestic help in India were worried that they would lose their jobs. Yeah. And today you try to get a domestic help and you don't have a washing machine, it's going to be an uphill task. Yeah. So that's the philosophy that we go with, that every change that has ever happened in the history of humanity, when the Industrial Revolution came in, the technology revolution came in, change is always an apprehension that comes up. Yeah. But ultimately it is always for the good. So we believe that AI is just going to help us improve our efficiency, our effectiveness, our productivity, and enable us to deliver performance excellence and customer delight. So that's what we are constantly encouraging our teams, our mid-level managers, all of them.
All right. And now that we know that AI is here to stay and we need to perhaps embrace it, then being sort of frightened of it and being frightened of losing our jobs. First of all, thank you so much that our jobs are safe, for letting us know. And on that note, I would like to move to you, Akshay. We've been speaking a lot about AI. How are you sort of approaching AI-driven learning in your platforms?
Being, of course, like both of them said, it's here to stay. Another thing that we start hearing about, it's not artificial intelligence, it's assisted intelligence. Yeah. So using that with us and making it part of us. So from that perspective, what we've done is, obviously it's there across our platform, across our learning technologies, across the learning delivery method as well, because all of us, we work in a workforce that's multi-generational. There's some people who prefer doing the old-fashioned way, watching videos, doing things that way. So we cater to that. But there's a lot of folks who are there, who join the workforce now, who've grown up with this. And their whole way of learning is only that. So how do you actually get that? So using AI intelligently in that, with guardrails. So it's important to have guardrails within that. So within our ecosystem, when someone asks a question and there's an AI-assisted answer, it's confined to that topic. So while it can be ChatGPT or Azure focused, Copilot focused, it has to be within that realm of what they're asking questions on and not go outside of that. So those are certain guardrails we're doing, which obviously as Skillsoft as a company, we have to adhere to those. And I'm sure globally as well, with all the government ones, which are GDPR, et cetera, we have to adhere to that. And same with the companies. The companies have to adhere to those rules as well. So we're making sure that we've taken that into consideration while we build a very AI front and AI focused platform along with learning delivery.
All right, thank you so much, Akshay, for that answer. And I would like you to summarize this one in particularly 2 points. See, a lot of AI platforms are there. You said ChatGPT, Copilot, right? why would an employer, why would an organization would like to come to Skillsoft than not using those platforms directly, you know, to be able to, you know, embed in their learning pathways or learning journeys? What is that Skillsoft is providing? Once you said that about guardrails.
Sure.
So can you please summarize in just 2 or 3 points?
Sure. The two big things is context and relevance. You can go to any of these ones, and of course, they're going to give you that information. But is it contextual to the job you're doing? Is it contextual to making sure that it is relevant to the business imperatives of the organization? And that's where Skillsoft's primary importance is, and what we're trying to achieve is making sure that the content that we deliver is striking a chord with the business rather than just general in whole. So having context and relevance is important. So using AI to make sure a leader gets relevant content in front of them, making sure a fresher gets context that is basic. That is important, and that's where using AI effectively helps us create those personalized journeys, create those kind of journeys that make people want to come back. I remember you asked a question to Susmita saying, how do you make sure they're engaged? The way you keep them engaged is to give them information that they actually want to keep coming back for. And if they see something, let's say for example, as a salesperson, I go in and learn and say, do you want to learn how to build an app? Comes up in front of me. I'm not going to go through that anymore. If it says there, how do you actually increase your presence with stakeholders? That's going to be something that I want to learn about. So making sure it's relevant, so using AI to make relevant and contextual content
more personalized.
That's right.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this panel. You know, we discussed a lot about AI, but I would not like to let you all go without answering one question, and I would like to end my panel with that question. You know, what's that one capability or mindset you think is pertinent for the workforce of 2025? Just one from all of you, and they have to be different. Come on, right? Starting with you.
Okay. So if you say one, it's the agility, whether it's learning agility, emotional agility. I think that would be your key.
Yeah. All right. Agility.
For me, it is culture alignment, because without aligning to the organization vision, culture, and core values, it is impossible to deliver the level of customer experience that we want to. So
all right. All right. And for you, Akshay?
For me, it's emotional intelligence. I think that's the most important one. Going back to my first one where I spoke about horizontal and vertical, this vertical part of emotional intelligence, working with multi-generational workforce, I think that's important.
All right, so for the workforce of 2025, it's agility that they have to be prepared for, it's cultural alignment that the organizations need to be prepared for, and the emotional intelligence. Right, thank you so much for being a part of this panel. And to our viewers, stay tuned for many more such interesting conversations on AI, learning, upskilling, reskilling, everything important on ETHStudios HRConnect in association with ETHRWorld and presented by Skillsoft.